and to be able to thrive beyond housing. If you're not familiar with that neighborhood, this just gives you an idea of all the little bubbles tell you how close our buildings are to one another. And like I said, the Mount Pleasant, Columbia Heights, Adams Morgan neighborhood, this is how Jubilee housing is currently spread. Those dots will expand as the growth that I told you that we're poised to have happens. But they are all still within this community. Tell you a little bit about resident services. So years ago, Jubilee Housing came together and talked about what their theory of change was for individual thriving. And they came up with 4 main areas. Housing stability would be important, having a sense of community, as well as financial security and health. Upon me getting there, we wanted to expand it so that we could have different categories of services. So we actually borrowed, for those of you, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and we wanted to make sure that we served our residents in these different areas, that we made sure that physiological needs, that their most basic level of needs were met, and that we had opportunities to serve in those areas. So that would include food security. One of the ways we do that is we have Capital Area Food Bank. We're actually a location for that. We also are a food rescue site, which is an organization operating in DC. And then we also, when we have various opportunities to have donations, we'll also distribute those in the community. We actually have clothing racks so that when we receive donations of clothing, residents can come and just pick out coats or clothes and things like that. We've been able to even get donations of medical equipment and things like that, and have opportunities to support things like that. And then resource navigation for basic needs is a big part of the services that we provide. Some of my resident services coordinators in the room, shout out to the front row. And then we built a community room where we would be able to have a place for residents to come where they could have access to the resources. Small food pantry, we offer newborn layette sets. We also have hospitality kits with basic hygiene needs. So going down, if you're going up the pyramid of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the next is safety needs. And that's where you see a lot of the theory of change incorporated into the safety needs around physical health. We do on-site monthly vaccination clinics in partnership with the Department of Health. We also do resource navigation for preventative care. Behavioral health, we were able to forge a partnership with a local behavioral health agency that is able to connect directly with our residents, so that our residents are just a phone call away from being able to get access to scheduling an intake appointment, which is invaluable because we want people to be able to have instant access when they're ready and are expressing that need for mental health, or if we identify that it looks like it's something that would be really value added for them. For our seniors, in terms of safety, in the previous session, one of my coworkers actually talked about there being some seniors who passed away, and we changed our approach to, instead of doing phone call check-ins, we changed our approach to doing door-to-door monthly check-ins, where we actually physically see that they're okay and check in on them in person. And it's a great engagement tool, obviously, with residents as well. We actually have community space where there are child care centers located in community space for Jubilee Housing. So they are not Jubilee Housing organizations, but they're organizations that their programs are housed on our site, which also gives our families access to child care. And financial security, we are headed towards 2023 going into the field of rent reporting. So that they have an opportunity to be able to build credit as an asset without actually having to take on new debt in order to build credit. And in addition, we have solar programs, saving money on utilities. We also set financial goals with residents, help and assist residents with applications to maintain entitlements, and resource navigation for additional social programs like related to transportation and telephone or anything like that, that might really be able to help supplement their incomes. And we assist them directly with those applications and the follow-up, because some of the times the follow-up and the advocacy is the biggest part of the work. In addition, we have Jubilee Jobs is an organization that does employment support, and so they actually come to our site in order to engage with residents to get access to employment assistance. So we don't have to do the employment assistance. We have a provider that comes on site to provide it. And then obviously housing sustainability as resident services, our priority is to make sure there's no evictions. And so eviction prevention includes assistance with emergency rental assistance applications and things like that. Going up the pyramid to social needs, sense of community is the fun part of what we do. I like to brag when we go to staff meetings and say that I took a group to the beach, or we went to a museum. I think that I have one of the funnest jobs at Jubilee Housing, arguably. But part of that sense of community includes affinity groups for seniors and parents. Obviously, organizing community-wide events where we can bring residents together, year-round holiday celebrations, field trips, cultural events, beach trip. We hosted National Night Out just a couple of weeks ago. We also, I think, to really build engagement with our residents, incorporated a daily drop-in center where we are just open for business and residents can just come see us, set up appointments, ask questions, and that has really been one of our primary engagement tools with residents. Obviously, feeling seen in community is important, so welcoming new babies, bereavement support in case of loss in families, visiting our seniors, as I spoke to before. And then we like to use the term also language justice, where we're making sure that we're providing our distribution about events, notifying about events, that we're doing that with our flyers in English and Spanish, as well as being able to have interpreters for events. And we actually created a position to have a bilingual resident services coordinator, so to assist me, because I couldn't do all the Spanish-speaking residents alone. But that language and ability access is really important for the whole community, because we're probably about 40% Spanish-speaking community, but the new buildings that we're acquiring, we've understood, are 80% monolingual Spanish-speaking, so we have to be poised to support them that way. And then, last but not least, on the hierarchy of needs, as we move up the pyramid, is our esteem needs, and this is where we feel like our core work is in resident centricity and involvement. And with that, that's having residents give us ideas for events, volunteer for events. We have our Hispanic Heritage Celebration coming on Friday, and that was almost completely planned with residents, and that's just the best way to do it, because we know they're going to be engaged in services that they helped plan, including Thanksgiving meal was completely served by staff, and I'll say voluntold staff, because my family was there as well, and then volunteers from our resident community. And then, so resident advisors, ambassadors, residents as stakeholders. We have residents that actually hold positions on the board, positions on leadership councils, where their voices are really included in the direction of Jubilee Housing. And then civic engagement has been really fun this year, because this is an election year. And we were actually able to have residents that were able to meet candidates that were on the ballot for the primaries, and having voter registration events on site has really helped us. But one of the proudest, I think, parts of that is that one of our residents, she's not a resident, but she attends our senior programming, is actually running for office and is going to be on the ballot. She's running for an ANC commissioner position, so we're really, really proud of somehow having a part of that and supporting her through that. And then areas of development is seeing residents as change agents in the community, advocates for, ambassadors for affordable housing, social justice, being a part of the success stories of the work that we do, and community leaders, which some of them already are. I think you guys were introduced to them in the earlier portion today, where they talked about new members that were joined. 2 of them were Jubilee Housing residents. And then we've jumped into including spirituality as part of that well-rounded services. So we actually have something called an Hour of Power monthly prayer time that is one of favorite of some of our residents. And so just to finish up, to give you guys an idea of some of the innovation of Jubilee Housing, if I could brag on our organization for a little bit. We have a building called the Maycroft Apartments, one of the newest in our portfolio, that actually, because of the solar panel system, is able to cut residents' energy bills in half. And we also help power DC's first affordable housing resiliency center, which means residents can shelter in place if the grid goes down, and they will still have access to refrigeration, for medication, perishables, internet outlets, and TV. And something to come is we have an aquaponics, rooftop aquaponics farm in development, which means that we will be able to grow our own 13,000 plants per month. Half of that will go to residents and the other half will be sold at market to offset program costs. So I thought that I could share our excitement and some innovation that Jubilee Housing is a part of. And for more information about our organization, that is our website. And I think that's my time.
Well done.
The rest of us have something to aspire to. Thank you very much. I had neglected to give biographies of each of our panelists today, and I'm not sure that they're on the list, but Maya is currently, as I think you may have said, your Director of Resident Services for Jubilee. So with the next person I'd like to call up is Lauren Taylor, who's the Affordable Housing Preservation Program Manager of LEDC. She also has a PowerPoint, so you can compare the two.